Just when everybody getting along, here come Gary. Here come Gary. But hey, y'all, welcome back to another review of Life with Chester for Tyler Perry Sistas, Season 7, Episode 19. Okay, y'all, so first thing first, let me know down below what y'all thought of the episode. I said, did they do a time jump? Not a time jump, but they said 2 weeks had passed. I think it was Danny. One of the girls had told Andy they haven't heard from her in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. And I was like, really? I think the highlight of this episode was the fact that we found out that Karen is having girls. Both of them are girls. Also, everybody was getting along up until Gary showed up. Until he showed up. I also say, basically the whole episode was centered around Karen's baby shower. Okay, so first thing first, Penelope was on the phone with Jordan. She ends up saying she lost the baby, but she didn't tell him how she lost the baby. And he was like, did Gary have something to do with it? I was trying to remember. When Andy told Jordan about Penelope working with the FBI and all that stuff, did she tell him about Penelope losing the baby as well? I can't remember. But yeah, she ends up telling him she lost the baby. And he was saying if Gary had something to do with it, but she got off the phone. He ends up telling Penelope that him and Andy broke up. And she was like, what? She was basically saying that doesn't sound right or whatever. And she's saying, fight for her. Fight for her. And on next week's episode, look like he fighting for her or asking her what's going on. Tony and Rich, look, might as well get them out the way because this episode didn't really contain much of anything. But they went there or whatever, so they knew about the breakup. And they was the ones who told the girls about it. They was basically telling him that Andy's not worth it. She's not worth it or whatever. You need to get somebody new or whatever. I said, y'all did all that talk. Y'all did all that talk. Now I understand they trying to hype they boy up and make him feel better and tell him not to dwell on it. I did like that part where they was telling him about the campaign thing. Because if you work hard to get there, you shouldn't stop just because you had a breakup. So I did like that part. And they was also trying to tell him that Andy had somebody else. And then at the end of the episode, that's when Gary revealed that him and Andy was getting married. And they supposed to run tell Jordan. And Jordan's supposed to confront her. He's supposed to confront her. And I said, oh my goodness. I wonder if she gonna tell anything. But she is telling Fatima on next week's episode that Gary is threatening Jordan. I said, look, Jordan had to defend himself at this point. Because no, what? But like I said, the whole episode was basically centered around getting ready for the baby shower. Then they ended up at the baby shower. Maurice was there, Danny, Pam. They all was there before everybody else arrived. And I was like, where Andy? Hello. Then she ended up leaving her place. I said, you leaving all these folks in your house? But I think at that point, when she got ready to go, it was just her friends. The money and Sabrina. So he ended up dropping by the bank and he was asking her if she ever found a donor. He says he wouldn't mind if the baby was his. So I'm wondering, y'all know how on the season finale it says that Sabrina gets her true heart's desire. So is they saying that she goes through with the process of having a baby? Or is they saying something about Rich? Then they ended up showing Fatima getting ready to go to the baby shower. And she was saying she feel like a clown and everything. She also mentioned that her and Karen, matter of fact, sorry for yelling, y'all. Her and Karen, Fatima said something about she feel like something's going to happen. And it did in regards to Gary. But Karen ended up saying how Zach and Aaron was getting along and it all feels too good to be true. And the whole little scene with them hanging out, real fast, y'all. Y'all know what this episode was missing? You know how Karen was thanking Fatima and saying how, look, we skipping ahead. She was thanking Fatima and saying how she sees how she treats Michael and she know that basically she gonna do right by the twins. I feel like in that moment she should have apologized for her behavior. Miss Marie, y'all know what I said before. She came in there talking about some, basically she gonna have to take her business elsewhere. I said, you need to at this point. I said, you need to. Then she was saying, what did Hayden found? He found that basically her husband was giving money to his assistant. And she was saying how she doesn't care about any of that. She wants proof that he's been cheating. I said, wouldn't it be funny if her husband actually found proof that she was the one who's cheating? I said, how you gonna do that when you cheating? I already said how Karen was saying how she feels like this is too good to be true. The fact that people getting along, Zach and Aaron getting along and everything. And I said the same thing. We all been talking about the same thing. I said, look, she don't sit up here and apologize to Danny. They getting along. Her and Zach on the same page. Her and Aaron on the same page. I said, okay, with 2 weeks being on past, what is the status between her and Aaron? Because she was telling her mama that she was going to see Aaron later. I said, wait a minute now. How they get from that point to this point? Danny and Fatima ended up talking and she was basically asking Fatima how she feeling or whatever. And basically you could tell there's too much because at one point, it was before they got there, or whatever. She was like, she feel like a clown, and she was just voicing her opinions and her thoughts and her feelings to Zach. Then when they revealed it was a girl, that both of them were girls or whatever, the look on Fatima's face, I was like, she's still having a hard time processing everything. Zach ended up introducing himself to Tony and Rich. And I thought they was going to ask him about Andy, but they didn't. They was just asking him his advice on dealing with the women. But again, they ended up revealing that they hadn't seen Andy in 2 weeks. They hadn't seen her in 2 weeks or whatever. So I was like, did they do a time jump? I just thought about the preview for next week's episode where Gary and Andy was talking, and he told her, basically, he trying to sleep with her. And I said, is he trying to? I said, now. She gonna have to do something. I had to let Jordan defend himself or handle that himself. Because no, at this point, no. I said, you can't force her to sleep with you. I said, it's her own fault because she be over here. She was trying to handle things herself sometimes. And it's crazy because she dealing with Gary. She dealing with Gary or whatever. Then you got Tamara over here. This scene was crazy. So she came, she kissing Hayden or whatever, and she found a hair in her mouth. And she was like, is this a pubic hair? I said, I said, And then it looked like on next week's episode, she's supposed to actually see Miss Marie up in the office with Hayden. I said, no, I wanted him to catch her. I wanted him to catch her. Then I wanted her to catch him. And I just thought about the episode synopsis. It said something about Hayden's, basically his little affair is exposed to not only his coworkers, but they never finished it. So I'm guessing Tamara is the one they was talking about. I wonder if Fatima called her or tipped her off. But yeah, she's supposed to come there and she's supposed to see them together. He basically told her that he'll reveal what's going on with him if she reveals what she's hiding on that phone. I said, why you ain't following her all this doggone time? You over here listening to Fatima conversation and the conversation. You spying on Zach. You showing up at his houses and stuff. But you ain't listening to your wife or girlfriend conversation. Because last we heard it was his wife. Then last week, I think it was last week's episode where they was like, that's his girlfriend. Gary, the one who said that's his girlfriend. But yeah, Zach and Aaron end up revealing they both having girls, and the look on Fatima's face. I got a question because there was a lot of noise in the background, so I didn't fully hear that part. Did Karen say that Danny and Sabrina was going to be the godmama and that Andy was going to be the auntie? Because I was like, wait a minute now. I didn't hear her mention Andy's name. I was like, she's still mad at her? But no, she ended up thanking everybody or whatever and telling them she appreciated them. But after that, y'all, that's when everybody left, and I think it was just, the main people we see. So Karen and Fatima was talking. And they were saying how they noticed that something's off with Andy. They haven't seen her or whatever. But that's when Gary came. Basically, they always telling him or asking him what he doing there. He need to leave. Nobody want him there or whatever. And look, they missed the golden opportunity. I think Fatima was the one who's saying who would marry him because he was inviting them to his wedding. And she said, what dumb? She said something. I'm going to have to find it, y'all. I think she said, what dumb B-word or whatever she said would marry you. I thought he was going to say Andy. I was like, that would have been a perfect cliffhanger. But yeah, he ends up grabbing her hand and revealing that they getting married. But yeah, y'all, that's all that happened on this episode. Let me know down below what y'all thought. Stay tuned for the next review. Until next time, deuces, have a great rest of the night and be safe. If you didn't know, I own a small business, They Just Learn account, which specializes in educational products and mental health products like encouraging messages, groups, classes, stuff like that. Everything on the site except the group is currently on sale for just $1. So support today. The link is always in the description down below. It's a digital download, which means once you purchase it, it's going to take you to a confirmation page. On the confirmation page, you click the link and it's going to start the download immediately, y'all. Once again, thank you for the support. Deuces.